Apple Knocker Radio.
And then you've got, in our era, you've got this psychologizing of alchemy by Carl Jung, which unfortunately I read about and influenced me too much for many years. I rather regret reading Jung's Psychology and Alchemy without the technical knowledge that I acquired later. But you know, you've got to start somewhere.
Right.
Now you can start with my book.
Well, it definitely is a great launching point. And that was actually, I had a question about the Jung, what you say about Jung, because that is, I think largely because Jordan Peterson has kind of resurrected Carl Jung's work in a lot of ways for people. I think a lot of what people understand about alchemy is from Jung. And you point out that to my interpretation of your writing, he misinterpreted some previous writing about dreams.
Yes, I think he made too much out of the fact that part of the record of Zosimus of Panopolis, who lived around 300 AD, Common Era, he used the literary convention of a series of dreams to describe changes within substances, and Jung, in my view, misunderstood what he was reading and thought that Zosimus was actually writing down his own dreams. And I think he regards these dream passages as very significant historical records, some of the earliest detailed descriptions of people's dreams, which for Jung became a teaching point about the nature of the unconscious. So he didn't seem to grasp at all that Zosimus knew exactly what he was doing, that he was using a literary convention. I think Jung came to altogether the wrong conclusion. He said that the alchemists projected their unconscious onto their chemical work. In other words, the alchemists or chemists, I would say, or operators, didn't realize that they were seeing changes in mercury and tin and gold and silver and so forth, and they were making them meaningful without realizing what they were doing. I don't think that's true at all. Jung, of course, has given us this word projection, which is taken straight out of alchemy. A projection simply means an ingredient. So if you project something in original chemistry, it simply means you've added an ingredient. Now he took the word projection as being something that the mind maybe automatically imposes on a perception, and he was trying to say that in that sense that people's experience of chemistry was turned inside out by the activity of the unconscious. But if you really go into it, you realize you can't do that. You'd have to say then that any activity that we do was a projection of the unconscious. So making dinner could become a profound revelation on that basis, or cooking eggs. And he failed to see that because he took it for granted, again mistakenly, that very often the practitioners didn't have a conception of what they were doing with the ingredients in their crucibles or in their aludels, or what was happening with distillation. And there's absolutely no evidence at all that they were mystified by what they were doing. They were no more mystified by it than a sword maker was mystified by tempering steel. Once they'd learned how to do it and they'd read the recipe and the recipe worked, it wasn't a mystery. And I think he remystified alchemy. Now that appeals to a kind of post-60s mentality, the idea of a mystification that carries a hidden truth or an elusive meaning. I mean, that's people would say, for example, that the Beatles, for example, there was an alchemy in the group, which is another way of saying there was a mystery about how the four personalities work together as a musical and as a phenomenon. And you can use the word alchemy in that way. But that's again is mystification. I wanted to penetrate this aura of mystery which has surrounded the subject, not because I'm object to mystery, but very far from it. A mystery means something that the more you go into, the more you discover. But some things we mystify at our peril. We're losing reality. We're losing important realities by mystifying them. I mean, the whole subject of what I've spent my adult life in researching and developing in the whole field of esoteric wisdom is packed with real mystery and at the same time a hell of a lot of mystification. And I want people to be able to pick up a book, and if they're really interested, work out what it is, what these things really are, you know. And the same goes for religion, doesn't it? I mean, if you take the mystery out of religion, for many people, there's nothing there. There's nothing left. So the life of Jesus is a mystery, and so on. Now, I dare say there is truth in this, but there is also a hard reality as well that we shouldn't miss. You know, it's I do understand the urge for mystification, but it leads to some extraordinary diversifications of energy, is what I'd put it that way.